Your horse already knows the rules. He's been following them his whole life. The problem, and this is where most relationships quietly go sideways, is that nobody gave you the rule book. Watch what happens when someone new approaches a horse for the first time. The horse reads them in about 3 seconds. Not their clothes, not their confidence in some abstract sense, their movement, the angle of their approach, whether their gaze is hard or soft, whether they stop before the horse needs them to, or keep coming until something pushes back. In those 3 seconds, a judgment has already been made, and most people never know they were being evaluated. That judgment isn't hostility, it's pattern recognition. Horses survive by reading behavioral consistency in the animals around them, including you. When your behavior doesn't follow a legible pattern, they don't give you the benefit of the doubt, they give you a wide one. Here's what reshapes everything else. Horses aren't looking for a leader in the way that word usually gets used around them. Be dominant, be the alpha, show him who's boss. That framing has been popular for decades, but it isn't really what the research supports, and it isn't what horses actually respond to. What they're looking for is something closer to predictability, a readable social partner, someone whose behavior follows rules they can track. Dominance that escalates randomly, that's inconsistent in its logic, that comes and goes, that doesn't build trust, it builds anxiety. And an anxious horse is always operating in self-preservation mode. You're not getting the best of them there. You're barely getting the surface. So what are the rules? Not a list, more like a grammar. The grammar horses use to negotiate space, attention, and pressure with each other, and the one they extend to you whether you know it or not. The first one surprises most people. Horses approach each other from the side, almost never straight on. A direct frontal approach, head toward head, moving in a straight line, is how predators move. Horses know this, not from bad experiences with humans, from something deeper than that. When you walk directly at a horse's face, you are, at some neurological level, mimicking the movement signature of something that hunts. Most horses will tolerate it from someone they trust, but they're tolerating it. There's a difference. Angle your approach. Give them your shoulder. Watch what changes. The second rule is subtler, and this is the one even experienced people miss. Horses use spatial negotiation constantly. Who yields space? How far? How fast? This is a running conversation beneath everything else. When a more socially central horse wants another to move, they don't always make contact. Sometimes they just direct their energy toward the space the other horse is occupying. The other horse reads it and moves. The whole exchange takes under a second. When you move into a horse's space without intention, wandering in, adjusting something, stepping closer for no particular reason, you're generating noise in that channel. The horse feels pressure without a readable source, and horses don't handle unlocatable pressure well. Pressure needs to point somewhere. It needs to mean something. Pressure without clarity isn't communication, it's static. This is why timing matters more than force. A small, well-timed shift, even just your weight moving toward them, says more than a large, late correction. The horse can follow it. It fits the grammar they already speak. The third rule is about what happens when they test you, and they will, though I want to be careful with that word because testing implies strategy, and that's probably not what's happening. It's more like probing. They encounter an inconsistency in your behavior, and they revisit it, not because they're trying to win, because in a herd, knowing exactly where the lines are is survival. A boundary that shifts unpredictably is more dangerous than a strict one, so they probe until they understand where it lives. What most people do when they feel probed, they escalate, and escalation without consistency just teaches the horse that the threshold is higher, not clearer. What actually works, and this requires a kind of self-awareness that honestly takes practice, is returning to legibility. Slowing down, giving the same response, the same timing, every single time. Not because repetition is training in some rote sense, because repetition is how you become readable, and readable is what they need. There's a moment, and you probably know it if you've spent real time with horses, where something just shifts. The horse stops scanning, stops probing. Something in the neck releases, the eye softens, the breath changes. That's not submission, that's recognition. They figured out your pattern. You became someone whose behavior makes sense. That's what they were looking for the whole time. Most of what reads as difficult, reactive, stubborn, or dominant is a horse who hasn't been given enough clarity to feel safe. Not every horse. Some animals carry histories that complicate this significantly, and there are cases where what looks like a communication problem is something else entirely. But most of the time when the relationship is stuck, the answer isn't more pressure, it's more signal. Next time you're with your horse, just before you do anything, take 30 seconds. Enter the space with intention. Angle your approach. Let your movements be legible. And pay attention to what shifts. You might be surprised what they've been trying to tell you all along. There's a full list of 50 horse behaviors that humans consistently misread linked in the description. If some of what landed today clicked for you, that list will probably feel different now than it would have an hour ago.